Welcome to the Shuffle Curious podcast. I'm your host, Patty Lynch. Have you ever seen an amazing shuffler at a show or festival and wondered, how did they get started? How did they develop their skills? And who are they beyond the dance floor? Well, that's exactly what we're exploring in the show. We'll dive into the personal experiences of the dancers that make up our beloved community. We'll be learning more about who they are and what makes this dance so special to them. So, with that, let's jump into the show and let's get curious together. Hello, all my Shuffle Curiosities out there. This is episode 9 of the Shuffle Curious podcast. And in this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with my friend, Charles. And it was an absolute crazy fun time having Charles here for a couple days. He and my roommate and myself, we are all very much techno enthusiasts. So we pretty much had techno spinning for like 96 hours cumulatively, maybe even consecutively, I'm not sure. But we had a ton of fun just connecting over the music in that regard. But while he was here, we were also connecting over the dance. We were also having a lot of like sidebar conversations that, allowed us to really get to know each other more. And, I really cherish the time that he was here. But as for our conversation, it was a very long one. We could have gone on for hours, to be honest, but I loved that Charles had so much depth of knowledge in regards to, battling and the mindsets that go into that. He's been breaking for quite some time. So he's no stranger to battle culture. And we also touched on, his DJ endeavors and his production endeavors and, where he's taking that at the moment. But he also pays a lot of tribute to his mentors along the way who has helped him with his transition to shuffling and then also learning mixing and things like that. And I just love how he's integrated his dance forms together, the breaking and then the shuffling and his thought process behind all of it. So it was a very unique conversation. I absolutely enjoyed it. I know that you guys will too. So let me get to the conversation with my good friend, Charles Lopez, also known as Bambi. Charles, how are you, man?
How's it going, Patty?
Good. All's well on this end. How is Denver treating you thus far?
Oh, always lovely. Every time I come back here, it's always a great time.
Awesome, man. It's great to have you. It's great, that you rogered up to be on the show. It's going to be an awesome couple days, just kicking it with you.
Pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun for sure. We have quite a few events in store, if my memory doesn't fail me. But dude, it's been cool just getting to know you a little bit throughout the years. Really, it's been kind of recent that I felt like our paths have crossed. And I remember the first time I met you was here in Denver. You had been visiting. And our mutual friend Dean, I had been kicking it with him for a little bit because when I first got here, I was living in Boulder, and that's where Dean lives. So I was constantly just sessioning with him and whatnot throughout just getting here. And I remember one time he invited me to go to Cheeseman to just sesh and do whatever. And you were there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure, where you were from. Like I was super fresh. I had no clue like you had been a part of the scene or whatever.
Was that around the time you had moved out here, or like you were already living?
It had to have been like probably 2 or 3 months after being here. So I don't know.
Okay.
I forget. You might have been. It was like fall. It was like going into fall of 2021. I'm thinking.
So like towards almost like summer around that time, like or like the end of summer.
Yeah, more or less. Do you remember being out here for that?
Yeah. No, I was out here I think until like the beginning of September almost around that time. That would have been around like I think the time that you're talking about, because I remember I was teaching Dean around that time as well at Cheeseman Park. Yes.
Got it. Okay, so my memory might fail me a little bit because I thought it was like a couple months from me being here. But anyway, it was funny because I was interested in what you guys were doing. And I was when I started, and I'm still like this.
I'm very curious what people are working on in any given session. And I saw that you guys were working something out. I'm not sure what the concept was, but I kept coming up to you guys and being like, "Oh, like what are you doing? How are you doing that? Blah blah blah." Not realizing that you guys were in like a lesson, you know. And I remember like the third time I came over and I was like, "Oh, show me that," or whatever. Dean was like, "Look, we're in," like very politely. He's like, "Look, we're kind of in a lesson right now. Like, go do your
I
own
don't
thing."
even remember that.
He kind of pulled me off to the side. But I love Dean. You know,
Dean's a character.
He's got a way with words.
He definitely does.
But once you guys were done, you know, we were just session bullshitting, whatever else. So it was just funny to have that, you know, first interaction with you, and it was a warm introduction to me, because we kind of had that mutual friend to kind of help us out in that regard. So,
but I do remember all that. I remember meeting you actually. That part about Dean, but for everything else, for sure, I do remember you meeting you for the first time around that time. I do remember you coming up as well and asking, being very observant.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you did help me out that session. It was a lot of fun session with you guys. You are very much an open book when it comes to teaching people, and if they have questions for you, you're not opposed to. There's no secrets being kept and whatnot. Not. And that was very apparent and clear to me when we first met. But ever since that time frame, you know, I've kept up with you and IG, and you know, a little bit after that, you did an AR project run with like Jorge and Image.
Yeah.
And I just remember that shit blew my mind. Yeah. Like, I still talk to Jorge about that.
Oh, man.
Because I think all you guys did that in one run.
Yeah. We did that all in one run. And that was the same shot after we had already filmed 2 other AR project sessions, because we had the raw sessions that we did earlier that day, and then we did another one with AR project right after, and then that's when we did one just me, Jorge, and Image, and we only took one run to that entire video.
Yeah, and that was sick, dude.
Like the energy was real. The energy was definitely real.
Just like having those data points about you from like me initially, you know, just introducing myself to you, and then seeing that, I was like, oh shit, this guy is like, he's a dancer, you know what I mean? Like, he has multiple facets going for him in this, you know, this craft, like the shuffling craft. But like and we'll talk about this a lot, like how you've kind of integrated breakdancing into your shuffling, and then also other forms like hip hop and things of that nature. And then I also was just seeing how you interacted with the homies like Jorge, and then all the other, you know, Mile High shufflers. And
they're like family. Shout out to Mile High shufflers. They're fam. For sure.
Seriously, and you're our family. You know, we love having you around. But then it even got more. Like, I realized that there was more associations. Going out and meeting. Well, actually, I met him through a shuffle challenge, but Jesse, our mutual friend, Jesse, he was just on the show.
Dog Jesse, oh man, that's one of my best friends, man. Love that kid.
Realizing that you guys had a relationship, you know, and you guys were a part of the NYC scene as well, and just the battles that you've done and things like that, you're very much immersed in the shuffle community. So it's been really fun to follow your journey and to see all these like associations that we've had with one of each other, or with one another, whether that be, you know, the festivals that we're going to, the music that we enjoy, the friends that we surround ourselves with, and you know, just the fact that you visit here, you know, every so often, and we're able to you know, just enjoy the dance, enjoy the music together.
It's all about connecting, man. Yeah, no, it's very special. It's all about connecting, you know, and continue to unite people of all different sorts and kinds to come together under almost a similar ideology, and that's that we all love to share this music and dance to it.
Yeah, and that's all we need. You know, like we're simple beings.
No, very true.
If we have those two, like things are all right.
Yeah.
Things are going pretty well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, man.
That's awesome, man. Well, I do want to get a little bit into your background, because even though, you know, we've known each other for a little bit here, like I don't think we've had this opportunity to really, you know, talk about you and like kind of, you know, who you are as a person, who you are as a dancer, all your other interests, you know, surrounding you. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, where are you from? How long have you been shuffling for? And then maybe just give myself and the audience a glimpse of like who you were as a child.
I got you. Well, I'm a kid from New York. I was raised in Queens. I currently live in Staten Island. Shout out to Shaolin. During my early ages, I did move away for a little bit to go live in Colombia with some family. And while I was out there, I ended up kind of getting my sense of rhythm for dance, because one side of my family are a bunch of dancers in Colombia, because it's a very traditional and very, you know, social thing to do. Everybody pretty much knows how to dance, like, you know, salsa, merengue, bachata. So I kind of started off my rhythm with that, and that made me grow a love for dancing, or that's what it started. I didn't know it at the time, but that's kind of what happened. I have been shuffling since, I would say officially, since 2019, like the end of 2019, beginning of 2020 was when I officially started training and practicing and really trying to go hard with the dance and evolve myself. When it came to shuffling beforehand, I wasn't so much interested in it. I also grew up as, you know, a hip-hop and a metal kid. Mainly hip-hop because I'm also a b-boy. I started breaking when I was around 15 years old, like 14, 15. And I was heavily influenced by it and wasn't really interested in much else around that time. Until I further continued on my dancing journey, I started falling in love with other styles such as house, locking, even a little bit of crumping. Shuffling didn't come till later because I wasn't really into the music at the time. I knew about it and I was more or less around it, whether it be through some siblings or through just people I knew that I grew up with in the dancing world. A lot of them were like big like house enthusiasts and stuff. But yeah, no, I wasn't really so much around it like that. It wasn't until I started becoming an industry dancer that I was performing at events and I was performing at festivals that they also had EDM artists play. And after, say, a performance, we were able to get, you know, tickets to the festival, stay, hang out, and, you know, I'd go and explore, and I would be hearing all these other DJs play, and, you know, DJs I had never heard about. Like, for instance, I saw, like, Martin Garrix at one, I saw Zed at one, I even saw Odessa at another one. It made me, like, start to be curious about the music and the scene and the dance that was involved with it. And it wasn't until shortly after that that I decided to, you know, say, basically, screw it. I'm gonna go to my first festival, like myself, instead of performing at one and having it be that way. I'm gonna find what festival has this type of music, and that festival for me was Electric Zoo, New York. And I went to my first Electric Zoo. I believe it would be Electric Zoo 2018. Yeah, and then after that, my world completely changed. I had seen like shufflers, like really, really good shufflers at the time. It's because like before too, when I was younger, I wasn't I guess another reason I wasn't really interested in shuffling was because of like how like mainstream media drew it and depicted it, especially because of like, you know, like the whole party rock anthem, LMFAO. It kind of made it seem like corny to me, like very corny to me. So I wasn't really that interested in it, and I didn't see how like it could look appealing or how it made sense. It wasn't until like after Electric Zoo, seeing people get down there, I saw one of the first like dope shufflers I actually got to witness with my own eyes is one of my homegirls from New York. Her name is Mitchie. Sick shuffler. I had seen her, not even knowing her at that time. I had seen her at the local artist stage that Izu used to have, like up on the hilltop, and she was like ripping it, and I was like, whoa. I thought it was so cool, you know, and like I even like, you know, question myself because like, you know, I'm a b-boy and stuff, and to be amazed, like genuinely impressed by that, it was almost a very like familiar feeling that I had gotten when I first fell in love with breakdancing as well. And then after that, I was going out to shows, and as I constantly went out to shows, I was meeting more of the communities, and I was really seeing how people got down, and I started going to more festivals, and then I went to EDC Orlando, and I met all the Florida homies, all the Florida cats. I met Keen, I met D-Hop, I met all the Sucio homies, Jose, Mike, Randy, Amir, and they also got me to want to learn this dance more, because when I saw them get down, not just shuffling, like a bunch of them are also steppers, like even Julia, Techno Queen, you know, shout out to her. A lot of them, the way they were getting down in the circles and the ciphers, like again, it was very familiar, and it felt very unified and very natural. It's a hard feeling to explain. But
like
I was
there were similarities to like
how
B-boy.
to how I would see us get down in competitions or at jams. So like, you know, in a b-boy battle, they have like the main competition, but there's always ciphers going out, and there's always call outs in the ciphers, and call outs and like battles in the ciphers or even getting down in ciphers never has to be really an aggressive thing. It's always a way of just sharing knowledge and, you know, wanting to be able to share that with other like-minded individuals of the same matter, you know? And I had that same feeling when I saw everybody get down at EDC Orlando. And that was also like the first time I was exposed to techno, like to techno. And no, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. Once I heard that kick, I was like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
But honestly, seeing everybody else like start dancing to it, going crazy to it, getting into it, getting down, especially like the Sucio homies, oh man, that changed my perspective on everything. And I was like, wow, that really, really piqued my interest. And it was around that time, like, you know, I started like going around and just I would be analyzing, especially in the New York scene and in with my homies in the New York community that I had gained at that time. And I went up to one of my bros, one of my best friends, and who is also one of my mentors, Kitty Pack Chicken. His name is Lewis. He goes by Chicken. He's part of Kitty Pack. Him and Ryan, they're two disco house DJs, local legends in New York. Definitely check them out. My homie Chicken, I had told him, I was like, yo, I really want to learn how to shuffle. I really want to get at this. I want to incorporate my breaking into this, because I had seen that, you know, a bunch of other people, when they would get down, like the ones who were really about this, like this dance, it was so much finesse and there was so much intricacy. It was more than just a running man. It was more than just a T-step. It was more than just your basic stuff. Like they were like putting like real like dancer sauce into it, whether it was incorporating a different style or just adding a certain groove to it. It gave me a whole different perspective on the dance, and it made me respect it a lot more, because I know at the time when I was going through learning it, I knew how hard it actually is to learn that. It's not an easy dance, and I give it all my respect. And from there, asking Chicken to teach me, he taught me. He was also one of my DJ mentors as well. Also the guy who taught me how to mix and taught me a lot about music production. But from there, he taught me. We would train. I would train with him at least like once to twice a week. And I got so infatuated with the dance, I couldn't stop. Every time I would hear like a house song or anywhere, whether it was in a store, whether it was at work, I just started shuffling like in the middle where I was, you know, and no, to the point where I was just catching myself doing it constantly, and I just kept practicing that way. Sometimes I would be like putting my headphones in, I would be walking down the street, and I would walk as if like I was shuffling at the same time, you know, and that's how much I got into it. And I would say it was definitely a lot because of the people that were involved in it, because like I came to grow and share a love and a connection with all these people that I have been mentioning. And I at the time, I was longing for a way to get down with them and share a conversation with them. Because like beforehand, I would get in circles, but I would break. I would do my thing. And yeah, you know, people are like, wow, yes, they clap, they make noise.
There's
everything.
some relatability.
Yeah, they're like cool. Like they understand that that's hard, but I can't, like, it's like as if I'm speaking a completely different dialect to one. It's gonna be like, wow, impressive, but at the same time, don't fully understand it.
Yeah.
And like I completely get that. It wasn't necessarily that like, oh, they need to understand my breaking. No, but I because I was coming into this world, you know. So I knew in order for me to reach out to the people that I wanted to reach out to and connect with the people I wanted to connect to, I had to learn this dance and I had to get involved in this scene. And I did just that. And it was just such a passion that it kept going, and I kept practicing it, and I kept falling in love with the music. I started traveling more, started going to other states for festivals and stuff. Came here to Colorado, went to Global, met all you guys, met the MHS, the Mount High Shufflers, met Jorge, and it was at that time in Global too that I had called out Jorge, and we had battled, and we had shared a really, really like great conversation in a moment. Like beforehand, me and him, we knew of each other, but we didn't know each other. But like I would say it was after even that battle that like my friendship with Jorge grew 10 times more, just because we shared that simple thing. And that could be said the same with everybody else that I have been able to share a connection like that with, you know. And I would say my like official like debut of when I like first started like coming out for that was around Time Warp, you know, the end of 2019. And I like what really sealed the deal for me to, you know, really continue going into this dance and want to be a part of it and wanting to keep lifting it up and keep the movement going and keep evolving was that I saw my boy Jose from Sucios battling the entire weekend. People were having like going off and having fun because the music was amazing. It was a great festival too. First time Time Warp came to the States. And I just saw him battling the entire weekend, and I saw him take on like 3-4 people at once and like really put it on them. And I saw everybody was just going off, and I was like, wow, the fact of seeing battles being able to happen for that very first time, like gave me a lot of aspiration for the dance, for the scene, for the culture. And this all just adds up to like wanting to be able to learn it more and like getting more involved into it. And it was around that time as well that it was at that same festival that I had went up to Jose, and I told him, I was like, yo, like I really want to do this. Like, damn, I didn't know like you could really battle like that in this scene. And that also like brought me back to the perspective of how I feel when I go to breaking jams and I go to breaking battles. And it was at that moment he was like, yeah, you want to like get into this? He was like, all right, so you're gonna battle me right now, right there on the spot. I went like 7 to 10 rounds with him. And
breaking or
shuffling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I was already mixing, like I was trying to mix in my breaking with my shuffling and my stepping.
Okay.
And we went rounds, man, and you know it was good. And he was the first person, and it was really like after that battle with him, gave me a lot of courage, you know, and a lot of confidence that like I can do this.
Yeah.
I could definitely do this. I could do this dance, and I definitely see big potential to whatever it could come out to being, you know?
Yeah.
And then I set off my journey. I battled Jorge. I kept going down.
Can I stop you right there? So it's funny with the battle with Jorge, and I'm gonna link that in the show notes because it's a dope battle. But it almost looks like you guys have beef. You know what I mean? It looks like you guys have beef with each other. Like you were settling the score on something. You guys are homies.
We homies.
And it was a lot of fun, you know, watching that and then having you describe it being like, I just met him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but you guys made that connection with each other, and you guys are probably going to be lifelong friends after that.
That's my dog, bro. That's the homie.
I just want to just backpedal a little bit from your, you know, initial beginnings. You know, you've described a lot of it, but with just starting, up until that point, I don't know, was that like, what do you think, how long had you been shuffling at the time that you had battled Jorge? Like 5-6 months or
Yeah,
so?
I would say 6 months.
Okay. So like throughout that time period, like
Wait. Actually, come to think of it, let's see, because that global that happened.
That was 2019 or
No.
what was that?
I was actually no.
I was 21.
Yeah, I was
That's-
21. So I was
yeah.
already actually shuffling for a little over a year by that time. Maybe.
Okay.
By
Gotcha.
like around a little over a year, if
Got
not
it.
by a year.
So
by
you were
that
getting,
time.
you had, a resemblance of a foundation.
Oh yeah.
At
At that point, like I knew
sure.
I wouldn't say I had a proper running man, but like I had a decent enough running man to
A
throw.
swagged out running man. It was doing its job.
It was doing its job. That's it. Yeah, I would say I was like I was good. I was definitely at a decent level around that time.
Got it. So, but before that, building your way up when you're having these sessions with like Chicken and he was kind of showing you the ropes, what did that really look like? Because I like to kind of peel back the onion on that, because a lot of people will look at you and be like, he's got dance experience prior, like he just picked this up, like no sweat, he didn't even have to like try to like get it really good. How did those first 6 months really look? Were you structured in your practice? Were you more just kind of like riding vibes? Like were they methodical dance sessions, or was it more just you were trying to have fun with it? Like kind of what did that look like? What was kind of the breakdown?
Oh, I mean, it didn't look pretty at first. I ain't gonna lie. But no, it started off. Yeah, no, it started off late, just learning, the basics. It was a lot of work. I'm not gonna say it was easy. Like I said, like I give this dance respect. Like it's not easy, and it's not something that you're gonna get overnight. It's impossible to get overnight. Even like some people that like I try to have teach to help them, they want to expect like experienced dancers nonetheless, and even some of them, like I've even tried to teach some breakers as well, and they expect to get it overnight. It's not that kind of thing. It is hard, and it did take work. The 2-week sessions would start off first, just getting to know the names of the moves, the movement, what the movement looks like, what a flow looks like, what rocking means. Going like four steps side to side, back and forth, stuff like that. I practiced the basics for months straight. Nothing but a running man and the basic of a Miami step. Those were like the two things I was doing. Wasn't really doing a T-step at the time, like when I first started, but it was mostly just the little basic steps of Miami stepping and running man, trying to get the running man better, trying to get it bigger. And it was just a lot of repetition, a lot of that at first. And a lot of my training was also honestly done by going out to shows, going out to events, staying late at events, dancing to the very end, festivals too. I feel like the times that I have leveled up the most have always been at events.
Dude, that's a common theme.
It's always been at events. I have like at practice maybe I come up with concepts and I come up with like moves and stuff, but like in terms of dancing and the aspect, the times that I have like significantly leveled up have been always at like events, whether it's a festival or a great event.
Why do you think that is? Why is that magic dust,
It's that energy, man. I think it's definitely like the vibe. I think it's the energy, the aura that comes around it. It's live. It's very much like happening in the moment. You're at practice, there's no pressure.
Yeah.
There's nothing like really challenging you, but yourself. In that very moment. But when you're out and you're dancing with other people, it makes you really start to think and start to be intricate, because dancing is for ourselves, yes, but it's not just for ourselves. It's also for others. It's for the people that we're expressing it with, and the people that are viewing, for the audience that are watching you dance. Because it's a performing arts, and it's an expression that you're releasing out. You're taking in these frequencies, these energies, and you're releasing them back out, whether it be to people or to the universe. So I feel that when you're there and you're in that moment and you're sharing things with others, you want to create a moment, you know? And I think that's what happens, at least with me, is I strive to look for a moment, almost like as if you think about soccer, how a striker is always looking for that perfect moment to make a goal, like where he could squeeze a goal in or what he could do at a certain moment. It's always on the spot. It's almost that same concept, almost trying to create that moment and that wow factor for everybody to experience it at the same time. And it makes you just think a little bit, and I think that causes, you know, your potential to be pushed up in a sense.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that makes sense. And I also think outside of that, it's like it's not even about who's spectating. It's like you spectating as well. Your homie jumps in and crushes it.
Yeah.
And you ride off of that vibe, or you're like, I've never seen him do it like that before. And then it might initiate a way that you're going to now do it differently when you jump in.
Nah, exactly.
And, it's like you're not, it's not necessarily one-upping each other.
No,
it's just like
it's riding that wave,
riding that inspiration that someone just set before you, and then you might do it for the next person, that's going to jump into to the circle after you. Or even not, maybe there's not even a circle. Maybe you're like fighting for your life for any kind of space, but you're in the trenches together, and that builds up some kind of energy, and you guys are just dancing side by side, and like that's also a vibe as well. Just kind of securing your own little spot.
No, that's a fact.
When the crowd is really thick and things like that. I think there's a lot of things.
There's a lot that goes
at
into
play with
with
live music events that has that effect on shufflers, that they walk away from it and they're just, I don't want to say 10 times better, but they are incrementally better for the experience.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
I think it's just like an amazing anomaly, because I haven't had this conversation, many, many of times, but I've had it enough to realize that this is a theme.
It is. No, it's very much.
It.
It's the same in like in the breaking realm. I feel like I level up every single time I go to a battle. Like practice is almost never enough. Like you have to go out, you have to go to the social events, and you have to do that if you really want to take, your skills and your passion, your craft to like that next level. For some reason, it just happens.
Yeah,
it always happens.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
I really do enjoy like I look forward to festivals because I know that I'm going to be listening to the music that I love. I know I'm going to be doing it with like the friends that I enjoy associating with, but I also know that at the end of that festival, I'm going to be better for it as a dancer, and that's a priority for me. I do want to incrementally get better, and that is just like the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. You don't know how it's going to manifest, but you know that there will be some kind of tangible result.
Yes,
at the end of the day.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I cut you off. I cut you off and I backpedaled. Where were you? So you had gone to, I know you went to EDC Orlando, and then you sought out, a lot of mentors from that time. You had battled Jorge at Global. And then you moved on to, I think it was another event that you had attended.
No, I was saying that I had, I was saying that I had, I did battle Jorge at Global, but before that I battled Jose from the Studios at Time Warp 2019.
He blew your mind.
Yeah, because I saw him
battling
everyone, and he was giving everyone.
I don't know how do you battle 4 people at one time?
Man, yo, he did it, bro. Oh no, he did it. It's something you just have to watch in person, man. And the way he did it, it was. Oh man, it was impeccable. It was very well done. It was very well played. And it just blew my mind because I'm like, I only have seen this in breaking. I've only seen people get down like this and really like, get down like that in breaking. But yeah, no, he blew my mind. We had battled that festival, and that gave me confidence to continue going and continue honing my skills. And then I started really, the whole time, like my main thing for my style is to continue the evolution of the dance and the way I see fit, especially I guess for me, myself, and my style, because I don't really see it or haven't really seen it being done the way I could imagine that it could be. And that was to incorporate breaking amongst other styles, but mainly breaking. Now, I wasn't the first one to do this. There was someone that did this successfully before me, and I believe his name was Sonic. When I was learning and coming up a little bit in the scene, I got put on a little bit to some history and stuff, and my homie put me on to Sonic, and he's a cat from Cali. He put me onto a video of, like, I think 2012, 2013, of some competition that was going on over there. And Sonic was the first one incorporating shuffle moves with breaking freezes and stuff like that. And he had it pretty good. And I at the time, I didn't really, when I was trying to evolve my style, I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know that someone was really trying to do that, or someone was able to do this successfully before I did. But yeah, I got put onto him already afterwards. But my whole thing was to, continue evolving my style and learning how to mix my breaking with my shuffling. So that also did take a lot of work. Apart from learning the basics, was being able to incorporate even just the basics from breaking into shuffling, just how to go down to the floor, how to come back up, make it look smooth and make it flow and make it look the vibe of what shuffling looks like, in a sense.
Do you think he gave you like a head start on that? You know what I mean? Like he made you realize that, okay, these things are possible because he's doing it.
Oh, Sonic?
Yeah, Sonic.
Nah, I didn't know about him at the time.
Okay.
I had gotten put onto him already, like, after I had found my ways to mix breaking in.
Okay.
Now, after watching his videos, I did get a little bit more inspiration, but I had already kind of like
some gaps.
Yeah, I had already figured out, like, more or less like a formula of knowing what does and doesn't work, and then, like, only to confirm, apart from just, like, inspiration, watching his videos that I saw also confirmed that the way I was doing it was correct, because he didn't do it, like, we weren't doing it the same way, but it was more or less somewhat of a same structure. And that was, like, kind of goes back to, like, knowing what moves work and don't work, because not every breaking move is going to work in a shuffling run. Yeah. It's not possible because of, like, the certain beats that certain moves have to hit. So once you already know that, then it was just figuring out, like, little transition steps and timings to be able to get down. And with that, I also had to learn, like, the nuances of shuffling, like the little nuance steps, the little transition steps, because those were key factors in me being able to learn how to mix my breaking with my shuffling. And that took about, like, I would say that entire year of cultivating my style. And then that's when I battled Jorge. And then after that, I had battled Keen in Florida at some, like, real, like, underground meetup. Nobody really saw that battle. It was just me and him, like a friendly battle. And that's what all these battles are, man. Yeah. Like, they're all friendly battles at the end of the day, man. Battles aren't serious. They're not meant to be taken serious. It's a form of expressing. It's a form of, you don't have to really look at as you're trying to one up this next person or trying to be better than this next person. You should always see a battle as trying to be better than your last self. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, it does come down to you. Because as much as battling is a physical thing, it's a physical activity, it's also a very mental activity. Sure. It's a very psychological thing, and there's a lot that goes into those plays. But yeah, that's why I definitely, I support a lot of battles, and why I like to battle, because I always see it as a form of continuing the movement, continuing one's own style. And, like, you don't know who you'll be inspiring next, like, through one battle, you could have inspired, like, a million people. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, no, I had a friendly battle with Keen, and even Keen helped me out a little bit, seeing his style. He has a very unique style that has a lot of explosiveness, and after battling him, I also gained a lot of inspiration from it.
This is Tenchi.
Yeah, Tenchi. Yeah, we actually battled twice. The second time we battled was, I believe, 3 Points Festival. So battled D-Hop at that festival as well. Shout out to D-Hop. He's another really dope cat. And yeah, no, and continue to be on my my list of people to call out. For me, that was another way of me training my style, improving and testing myself, because like again, like I feel like you could really only test yourself so much when you're like doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like battling was very crucial and very important role in my development of my style and how I saw progress.
So would you have someone in mind that you wanted to battle and then maybe, practice towards that? Or, how did that
so
look?
yeah, so
And it's so cool. I just want to note, it's really cool how you view battling. It's not like I'm coming after them.
Nah,
It's like I am going to form a connection with them, and in the process, I'm going to learn something about myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No, everybody gets something out of it. Win or lose, you always end up gaining an experience from it. I don't really like to look at battling like that. You should still have like very much that, go-getter mentality. That warrior mentality. Don't do that either. But like, you should definitely have that. But like, never should come from a place of like
hatred.
Hatred. And like also like, that's another thing. Like people gotta learn. And I think in this scene for sure. I mean, people are still learning it in my scene, but people definitely gotta learn it in this scene that you gotta leave the battle where the battle is. Don't take the battle outside the battle, man.
Straight up.
You know what I'm saying? Like you leave everything there and that's it. Shake hands and y'all be cool about it. Y'all be friends and like y'all share the moment, and that's respect to both of y'all.
We're just dancing.
Yeah, exactly. We're just dancing. That's why we dance, and so we don't we don't get to that
all
extreme.
ego involved.
No, yes. But yeah, no. I actually had a list of people, and I still do have a list of people I intend to battle, and I had intended to battle. D-Hop was one of them on my list. Keen Tenchi was another one on my list. Jorge wasn't really one on my list, but he ended up becoming one because I saw him get down, and I saw him as a very potential training moment or like improving moment. I knew if I could hold my own and go up against Jorge, then I know I could go up against so and so. Just because of a matter of skill levels, a lot of similarities, stuff like that. But yeah, no, I wouldn't more or less say that like I had a specific person that like I trained for to be that specific person. Nah, I was training to be every single one of these people, and that just came down to training my own style, my concepts, my own flow, just trying to sharpening it as much as possible, to the point where it's like I don't really have to rely on strategy. I could just do me. I could dance and I could be who I am without being like so analytical.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just
too much
dance. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because like the analytical can only prepare so much for that moment. You know what I mean? You really just need to give it to your intuition at the end of the day, because your intuition will guide you as the music comes on, because you don't know what song you're going to get.
Nope.
You don't know if it's going to be house, if it's going to be psytrance, if it's going to be techno, you know what I mean?
No, exactly.
And all those have totally different musicalities that you can work with. But if you've been so analytical in your preparation, and the present moment throws you a curveball, like you're gonna be stuck. Yeah, you're gonna be stuck.
It's seen happen to a lot of people. They think they got it all figured out, and then boom, it hits them, and that's it. One thing I will say about that though is you should always, if you do tend to think about something like that where you have something in mind, always go with your first option. Never try to change it, because when you change it, then you're really gonna mess yourself up. Like from a battle, like if you want to talk battle strategies, that would be like one of them. Always go with your first instinct, with your first thought. Never try to change it because the music changed or something happened.
Yeah. Are there any other like strategies that you have? Maybe something. Some things that are broad, because I know you can't like write a how-to to this, because everyone is so different.
No, I get you.
On the lens that they perceive battling.
First off, no touching. Absolutely no
like etiquette
touching.
Wise,
you should never have to put your hands on your opponent you should never have to put your hands on your opponent. It should never get to that level. The moment you put your hands on your opponent, to me, that shows lack of class and lack of skill. The fact that you had to put your hands on someone else to get your point across that's not why we're doing this. The whole point we're doing this is so we could keep our hands to ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like in a lot of other scenes, the moment you touch someone, like that's a fight right there, you know? So like definitely one thing, like if it's not already known in this scene, no touching, no like grabbing stuff off of people, like a hat or something. Like that's a big, like no, like that's just corny, you know, like why do it? You don't have to do it. Now, if it for somehow something just happens and like, you know, like the person throws the hat towards you, all right, you can catch it, do something with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's different, but you should never be the one to have to initiate putting your hands on that person.
Understood.
You know, so I think that's something that should definitely be cleared.
Maybe an exception to that is like if two really good homies are going at it and like it's already been established.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I mean,
Because I also know that people might not know their prior relationship and then maybe they get the impression that then it's okay. You know what I mean?
I think if it's something like that, it would really have to come down to what exactly it is they did. I mean, this is from my eyes and like my perspective. If you talk to,
you have much more experience. So
No.
I'm
like even if
right
you
now.
were to talk, even if you were to like talk to even other dancers from like other scenes and styles, some of them might have like a different perspective on it. Like when it comes to like what you can and can't do in terms of like putting your hand on someone to try to like get a concept through. But at least from my point of view and my perspective and from like the breaking perspective, like the breaking way, normally no form of that should happen. You should be able to get that message and do exactly what you're trying to do without touching them, without physically putting your hand on them. But again, I think that comes down to, if they're homies, if they're friends and people know that, and maybe if they do something a certain way, it could really look dope and it could be awesome. But I think it just that might just come down to making sure that whatever it is that you do, if you do that, is not tasteless.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, understood.
Because like for me, battling or even dancing in general, from what it means to me, like a big part of it is about finesse. Always having finesse, always being fresh, always being clean, swift, smooth, and putting your hands on someone was never really said that conveyed that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
So there's that. I would say, don't be scared. Go all out. Take no prisoners. That's something I always say. Take no prisoners, because I know a lot of people, and in my early battle days, I definitely fell into this too, where I would take it easy on my opponent because I knew who they were, or I knew the skill level that they were, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. I lacked a lot before because I took it easy, and honestly, that I learned from my mistakes. And I say, if you're in a battle, you should never take it easy. You're there to battle. You're there to make it to the next round, and what matters is in that moment. And it doesn't matter if whoever it is that you're going up against, if they're better than you, if they're not, you should always treat them the same way.
And that might not translate into being aggressive or anything. It means just giving 100%.
Giving 100%. If someone you walk up to someone on the street, or you meet somebody, you meet a friend or whatever, you're talking to someone, you want the respect from them the same way they would want the respect from you, 100% respect, 100% respect. Same way when you're dancing, if you take it easy on someone, it's almost like you're pitying them. You know? So
okay.
Isn't that and I feel like that's kind of sad. You shouldn't do that.
And they can capitalize on it.
They can capitalize on it, and then oh, you just missed your moment. I saw it happen at one of the recent shuffle battles that happened in New York over the summer. One homie told his other homie that damn, take it easy on me, and homie listened to him. The other homie capitalized on it, and they were both homies. It's crazy. So that's what I'm saying. Don't take it easy on no one. It doesn't matter who it is. I battle my brother all the time, and I never take it easy on him. Ever.
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna be like, hey, just take it easy on me. I had a rough night last night. I really pulled my groin a week, and then just laying on him.
Yo, I've seen it happen. Oh man, I've seen it happen. So yeah, definitely don't do that. Take no prisoners. Go all out, straight from the first round. I always say that your best round or your best flow, like the most impactful and the best one that you could do should always be the first one, and you work from there. You know, towards the end and the finals round, that's when you start, you know, pulling out hat tricks and, you know, coming up with this, and you come up with moments and you start making these really special moments because it makes you dig. And that's what gives that more of that feeling, that battle experience and that battle feeling.
Don't keep anything in the reserves.
Yeah, no, don't keep anything. Just let it, like, keep going. Like, this is like every round you should treat it as if it's your last round.
Yep.
You know, as if it's the final.
It might just be. It might just be.
You know, no. So I definitely say that's one of them. Another thing too is for especially a lot of first timers that are getting into this battle culture through the scene. Don't be discouraged. You know, if you lose. I seen some homies that, you know, are good at shuffling, are good at dancing. Get upset after like losing in the first or second round, you know, thinking that they should have won or they should have made it like all the way or something. And it's like, yo, like you can't be thinking like that. That's not the point of thinking of like, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done that. Nah, it should be what could I have done better to have proceeded. And I just want to say, don't feel discouraged, you know, especially if it's your first couple times battling. It's going to take you a minute before you get it down. There's a lot that goes involved to battling more than just dance. Because you could be an amazing dancer, doesn't mean you're an amazing battler.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so true. And that's great advice, because the only way that you're going to be better the next time around is if you kind of scrutinize and take a look into why you didn't succeed this time. And you know, what's done is done. You know, what happened happened. And whether, you know, sometimes people like to, I always like to point the finger at myself. Sometimes people like to point the finger at the judges or things that are not.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Control.
Don't get me wrong. I will say, and this goes for every scene, honestly, including this scene. I have yet to see any scene that doesn't have some sort of like political bias. Sense.
Hard to find.
Yeah. You know, in it. And I will also say, like, yes, the judges is a big part of it. And that's another thing I want to say, like, to the people
they all do a great job.
No, they all do. No, they all do. Don't get me wrong.
Job.
They do a phenomenal job. But like you should never be like, oh, giving somebody a chance because like they're your friend. Or like because you know them, or because you knew they could have done better.
Yeah.
Like, no, like that shouldn't be a thing. I think everybody should be getting judged fairly and getting judged for that moment, for that round that they did. So definitely for that. I just wanted to give like a perspective on that. I do, like, again, judges do a phenomenal job, but there is also that side of that political side. No
judging is done in a vacuum. You know, there will be external factors, and like I think both of us are in agreement that, you know, when it's not a small thing to be asked to judge. You know what I mean? I think it's a pretty big thing, because like that also means like you might be getting flown out to the competition. You might be getting your accommodation paid for, taken care of in other aspects, because you are being trusted with an expertise that you have crafted over years and years. You know what I mean? So I do think a lot of judges go into that like, wow, okay, this is a big obligation, and I want to do a good job. I want to do it fairly and justly. And so I do think our community does a good job regarding that. You know, has there ever been maybe like a folly here and there? Like, probably, you know, we're all human.
But like that's that brings me to also another point too. If you, like you said, getting judged is a big thing. It's not something small. It's not something like, oh, hey, look, I'm gonna be able to judge my friends now. You're getting picked because, like you said, you have shown expertise in the craft that you're in, and you are respected in that craft. So with that being said, you know, if you're getting asked to judge, I don't like in that whole aspect. I don't really think that there should be like that, like ties like that. You know, especially for the fact that if you're getting asked to judge, you're getting there because people respect your opinion, and you should have that, you know, that sense of, how would you say?
Integrity.
Integrity
for
to be
the
able to
competition.
choose the person that you thought won. Now, I will also say, yes, there are moments for ties, for sure, if it's super, super close. But but definitely for some moments, no, like I definitely think judges should be able to just be able to pick. And not be like, again, that goes back to the whole, oh, I'm giving a tie because this is my friend. Oh, I'm giving a tie because I know this person could do better. You know?
Understood. Going back to the person themselves though, when they have a defeat.
No, yeah.
I like to look at this because I played sports growing up. I wrestled, and sometimes the referee did not give you the right call. You know what I mean? But I think sometimes the better thing that you need to think about versus the call versus what you did and the call that was made because of it is, okay, what could I have done to make sure that call would have never, ever gone in the favor of someone else? You know what I mean? So there's always going to be that uncertainty involved with individuals who are judging you, but it can always come back to you and what could I have done better to make it glaringly obvious that I had the better run in that round, essentially. So, and that's more for encouragament for people
that's definitely true. But like that's definitely true, and that also wraps around to the point. You have people who are battling. Don't be discouraged if you lose, because again, sometimes you might not even know the reason that you lost. But the important part is that you go back and you train and you come back again and you go at it again.
And it's not like a reflection of you as a dancer.
No,
everyone has their days. Everyone has their good days. Someone might just be shit hot that day. Nothing can take them down. And then there might be other times where someone's dragging ass. Maybe they had a red-eye flight going to the tournament. Like, it's not a direct reflection of who you are as a dancer. There's so many factors that go into it. So to label yourself as your latest result in a battle, it's not fair to you. You know what I mean? It's not fair to you. You should give yourself more grace.
No, that's definitely true. Like I said, you could be an amazing dancer. It doesn't always mean that you're going to be the best battler, especially not at the beginning. But that doesn't take away from you still being an amazing dancer.
Exactly. So where is your battle career kind of heading? Is there any battles on the horizon for you at the moment that maybe you're preparing for, whether that be in the b-boy realm or in the shuffle realm?
Definitely in the breaking realm. I have a couple competitions coming up. I have one towards the end of April, I think, in Connecticut. I have another one in, I believe, North Carolina in the beginning of May. And I think I definitely want to go out to Vegas and Texas for a couple competitions as well this year. Maybe Florida at least, but definitely Vegas and Texas. As of that, I'm still kind of waiting for more local jams to pop up on the East Coast. They're taking a little bit of time for breaking. In terms of shuffling competitions, I haven't had an interest to really join any one of them yet. Will I in the future? Probably, most likely. You guys will definitely see me in that battle circuit soon, but as of right now, nothing's really piqued my interest to start training for yet or so. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
What kind of battle atmosphere or tournament or location would kind of pique your interest or give you that allure to maybe jump in?
I think it definitely has to be a collective number of things. For one being the dance evolving a little bit more, as well as the people in the community, in the scene. Like how we were saying earlier before, there's not a lot of OGs from certain scenes. You don't really see, certain scenes don't have OGs. Some scenes do, but some scenes don't. A lot of the people that are coming through now, especially, are also being, whether it be asked to judge or being asked to compete, is a lot of our generation. It's our era of this dance and this culture. So I still think there needs to be a little bit more of of an evolution in the people, in the dance, in the culture, and the way these battles are being run, in the way that they do it. Because I'm not in agreement with just certain things, but I know like this is all just starting, and
Yeah.
like
Very
this
fresh.
is yeah. So like I know like a lot of people like are a lot of scenes are still figuring it out, and yeah, that's completely cool, and like and fine, like nothing against that. I know it's all it takes, try and error, and just continue to keep throwing it, and eventually like it'll definitely get to that point. But I feel like that's what needs to more or less be in play. Could I enter a competition sooner than that happening? Possibly. But yeah, for the most part, for me to like really, really get into it, I feel like those would kind of have to be a thing. And that's not to say that I don't see it like that. I very much see it like that. Like it's getting there. It is evolving, and
It's
it
not
is
like stagnant.
No, hell no, most definitely not. No. This is very much real here, and it's very much moving, and that's what I'm saying. Like I could be joining like sooner than later.
Well, honestly, I think the shuffle community, from what I've seen, and I'm only in my little bubble. I try and have more of a worldly view in regards to the shuffle community. But we recruited a lot. I know we recruited a lot of help from breakers to do our mile high or the MHS kill off that this past year, and we will continue to recruit the breaking knowledge of how they do their tournaments, how it's structured, what kind of vibe that they really want there, all those things. Because I think there's a lot to learn from like the communities that have already been doing this and have been doing it successfully. You know what I mean? The shufflers can take many, many pages from their books. You know what I mean?
No, that's definitely true. And like also shout out to FX Crew, my man Epi.
Epi's the man.
Yeah, Epi's the man. Shout out to them. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And always I think the B-boys are around, the community are always there, especially we'll give advice and help no matter what. Also like breaking was the first official dance to have like competitions and battles and incorporate that. Battles were always kind of like a primalistic or like a tribalistic kind of thing that has always been happening. You even see it with like animals and insects. They have mating dances, and two males will battle in like a mating dance for the female's attention, or same thing. It goes back to like native circles. There would be like like certain like dance certain their form of dance battles. But yes, breaking was the first one to really incorporate like the ideology of what like a competition or a battle is. So I definitely think there's definitely knowledge there, and especially in other scenes as well that have been throwing competition and stuff. I will say though that I do feel like there's like not every scene will run it the same way. So I just feel like there just needs to be a kind of place where this scene could see itself fitting in that aspect.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's like we don't want to be a carbon copy of what the of what the breaking scene created. It's like you want to kind of take the blueprint and make it your own. Make it fit the culture.
But I still do think that you do need a little bit of the traditional aspect here and there at times.
Sure.
You could definitely do like go and start creating like newer concepts to it, but I do feel like coming back to like that, the basic root of it is always good too. Sometimes less is more.
Well, whatever will serve, that competition.
Yeah.
If there is fluff or baggage on top of that, then you can rid yourself of that. But I just want to mention real quick. We shouted out Epi. Epi was amazing for the MHS Kill Off. He sponsored the event, and he was a consultant throughout the planning of it. And we are in his debt for that. He probably doesn't see it that way, but we are very much in his debt.
Epi is the guy. Epi's the homie. He's one of the first people that opened up his doors, especially to his training facility when I was living here for a short amount of time. Welcomed me into the breaking community out here. He's definitely the guy. And even out here, I was explaining to him that I also shuffle and that I was getting into that. And he's a great guy, and he's very open and understanding to that, and we're definitely grateful to have him.
Definitely, man. One of the many, family members that you have out here. So, and with that, I do want to just talk about, the community behind the shuffle scene and your experience with that. So I do know that you are a part of, many different, it seems like many different communities, whether they be local or nationwide. So I know you very much made a splash here with MHS, visiting here and there. I just want to kind of get your experience with, or have you talk about your experience with the NYC scene, and then also the other communities that you share time with and share your grace with.
Well, what exactly would you want me to say?
just like I guess the relationships that you formed over the years. I've talked to a lot of people, and I know that this has been my experience where I didn't necessarily realize everything that came with this dance. You know what I mean? I didn't realize the social circle, the strength of the social fabric that I'd be walking into. What surprised you, walking into the shuffle community in regards to the people that you would be meeting? I guess that's more.
What surprised was probably, I think it just came down to like how much of like home it made me feel, like the community every time like I came through, every time I danced. It just seemed like something like somewhere where I belonged. And at first that caught me by surprise, because again, like I never really thought I was gonna get into it as much as I did.
How much different or similar is the breaking community to the shuffle community?
Well, in terms of community wise, it's very different.
Okay.
In terms like,
could you explain
Yeah, no, in terms of like the community, well, what should I say this? Well, for one, maybe the breaking scene isn't as united, okay. I would say, in the aspect that this community is united.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There's more people that are more like are okay with hanging out with each other, whether they're in different crews or from a different state or whatever the case may be. They're more okay with hanging around each other. And I think that's just because the culture like that we're into, we go out to festivals together and stuff like that. So it makes it more of that. In breaking, there's not really that. And I think that's why we lack that. In breaking, it's a little more cutthroat. You wouldn't necessarily be hanging out with certain people from a certain crew, unless you're going to be battling with them, or kind of like people kind of keep to their own and to themselves. There's not really, when I say like there's beef, we can't be seen at the same practice spot or anything. It's just more or less, all right, you got that spot, I got this spot. As where in this community, it can be like that, but for the most part, everybody's a little more like united in that sense.
Yeah.
People in the scene are a little bit more open too than in the breaking scene. I would say like that just goes back to like how like cutthroat the breaking scene is. People are a little more closed off. I would say people are definitely more friendlier in that aspect as well in this scene than in the breaking scene.
Like inviting.
Yeah, people are definitely more inviting in this scene than in the breaking scene. Breaking scene, maybe not for me at least. It wasn't, because like I was kind of like I was like born in that whole culture where I didn't see it like that. But I definitely saw how it made other people feel a little hostile, like other new people coming into like the breaking scene, like, whoa, like this is aggressive. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like this is.
Is that what a shuffler would do if they were shuffling or a part of this community and then maybe entered into the breaking community?
Most definitely. Yeah. There's not.
Shred up maybe a little bit lighter.
Yeah. Yes. Most definitely. Oh man, I had a couple of shuffler homies from come to some of my competitions out in New York. Even they said it like it's a different world. It's different standpoints, and that's why like in our community it's a little more like that, where it's, and I'm not saying that this scene and this community doesn't have a little bit of that, because they do have a little bit of that. I have seen it, but like in the breaking scene it's mostly like that, respect is very much a thing that's earned. in my scene and not given, more or less in the dancing aspect. I feel like in this scene, it's like, again, it comes down, this scene is very more open, friendly and stuff, and inviting, like, yo, if like, if you're sharing the dance, you're welcomed in and stuff. And it is like that in breaking, but to a certain extent, it's just a little like more aggressive in that sense.
It doesn't seem like one is like better than the other.
No.
It's just a different,
It's
culture,
completely different cultures. Yes.
Yeah, because like both of those can be attributes, like the kind of like respect until you've earned the right to not be respected. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
maybe poor behavior or bad character traits and things like that. But also in the breaking side, if it's like you have to earn respect, that has a whole another slew of values, like things that the scene values. It's just the it's the priority of values.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like, and neither is good or bad.
It's just part of the culture.
And it's like you snap into it.
Yeah, it becomes a part of you, and then it's just something regular. Like again, like I was kind of like I grew up in it. It never really fazed me in that sort of way. But yeah, like the people that I have seen come into it and stick with it, like it's very rewarding, because like you become part of that culture, you become part of that like lifestyle almost, and you don't see it that way anymore.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. It's just one of like you have tapped into like each of these communities, and like you're very much a part of them. You're very much immersed, and it's really cool to be able to be a part of those. And they're so different, but you nest well with each. And it seems like you're kind of combining them as well. You have homies that are shufflers that want to come and break, and then probably vice versa, right?
Yeah.
They see you're like the crossroads of each of them, and you probably have people from both sides seeing that, and maybe want to get a glimpse into the other side of the community, and it's really cool. And there's probably a third community that's risen from all of this, and you've expressed your love for music, and that's kind of why you dance, right? It's very much like rooted in you, like as a Colombian, like they love their music, they love their dance, all that stuff. I had visited Colombia last summer, and I very much saw that in their culture, and it's very, very fun. I wish we had more of that in the United States, to be honest, or just more intensely.
Honestly, I wish the same thing too.
We can go out there and get our dose and then come back, I guess.
No, for sure.
Maybe bring that vibe back with us. But your love for music has propelled you into, working on music on the production side, and then also mixing. Do you play? Have you played any instruments or anything?
I used to play the clarinet when I was like in junior high.
Get down on that clarinet. Let's go, Squidward.
No, for real, I was nasty with the clarinet. I actually only picked it up because I wanted to learn how to play the Mario Kart song on it. That's the only reason I learned it. After that, I was done with it.
That makes sense.
But yeah, no, I got into mixing, and I got into music production. I honestly didn't think it was going to be something that I was going to be very fond of, or even have more or less of an interest in.
What was the spark that like got you?
It really did it.
Yeah.
Well, for one, going out to these events, these festivals, seeing what like good DJs could do, more than your
push play,
your push play. Seeing how they really control the energy and emotions, even the emotions I was feeling, the fact that a person was able to do that with sounds, with frequency, with music, it was very inspirational. But I would say it was part of it. I still really didn't have much of an interest. I did have a curiosity for what that felt like to be on the other end, not the receiving end, the giving end. But no, I would say I officially got into it because of COVID. COVID happened, and it kind of took everything away from me, and like dancing aspect took all my dancing work away, all my industry work. There was no practices. I couldn't go anywhere. Like I was stuck practicing in my room, and again, like for me, I was getting bored and complacent with that. So I figured might as well reach into something else. And I had a homie who didn't live far from me, who was a DJ. He had his old small little mini controller, and like 3 months into quarantine, I bought it off of him for $25, and he taught me how to transfer bass to bass. After that, it was mostly just me on my own, and I was learning how to mix, and like I was teaching myself a little bit. And then that's when my mentor again, Chicken, started taking me under his wing. Chicken and Ryan, who's also part of Kitty Pack, started taking me under their wing to teach me how to mix and how to DJ. And I kept going the same way. I would have the 2 days a week practice sessions for shuffling. I started having that for DJing at Chicken's house, because he had a whole nice setup, super nice setup. So I was practicing, and then I just kept growing, the love for it, just learning how to play. And I knew once I started seeing and it started getting good to me, I wanted to start playing shows. And then just after almost a year of practicing mixing, I had already dropped 2 or 3 mixes, and then I had gotten my first booking. And then after that, it kept going, and I kept meeting people along the way, other DJs. Shout out to my boy Medina, another really good DJ from New York that I came up with, that I've been coming up with. Shout out to my boy Vlad, Culture Vulture is another great DJ and producer in New York that has also been helping me, teaching me along the way, and as well as everyone else. And I kind of figured once I really started getting into DJing, I started seeing it more of a I'm not gonna be able to, I would like to, but I'm not gonna be able to dance the way I dance and move the way I move, forever. I could definitely do it for a very long time, especially training the right way, taking care of my body the right way. But I knew that there's always going to be some sort of means to an end in some sort of sense with that. Yeah. And I figured my next step, especially getting into DJing, would be to be doing that. I was an admirer of the music, and I still am, and I'm always going to be. But then I saw myself I see myself getting to that point of being able to also share it, instead of just being on the receiving end, also being on the giving end of it. And I definitely see myself doing that for a very, very long time, if not until the end. As long as I can do it. It's something I also very much fell in love with, and it grew my passion for, the music, the culture, the lifestyle, and the people in it as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of shufflers gravitate towards, picking up the skill of mixing music because of that thought. It's because we love the music so much that we have embarked on a journey to express ourselves, to that music through dance. And I think the second best thing is to be able to express the music to have people dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because it's a write your own story book. Those ones where you come to a fork in the road and you can choose this way or the other. Yeah. That's what DJing is.
Very much so.
You can accent the music that you enjoy listening to in many different ways. There's many instruments on that board. Some boards have more than others, but the variables that you can throw at it and your own understanding of that music, comes to light when you're behind the decks and you're orchestrating that for other people and for yourself. You know what I mean? There's a lot of times you're just mixing for yourself and you're like, this is a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun.
No, exactly. You just have solo sessions, just listening to good music. It's always a great time, for sure.
So, when you were learning that, how did that go? For first 6 months, were you, still messing up the beat match, or were you getting the basics down, but you hadn't delivered it to your memory yet, and you were still very busy on the decks trying to make sure everything was good? Or did you feel like you got the foundations pretty quick and then you were able to start messing with effects, song selection more, your own performance vibe that you want to give off as you're performing live for people?
Right. I would say that no, I don't think I really had like that much of a basic, like I don't think I really had like the basics down like 100% within 6 months. I think I was still like, I wouldn't say figuring stuff out. Figuring stuff out. I would say I knew the basics. And I knew what I had to do. What did come easy to me was phrasing, because I look at that very much like dancing, like around. There's phrases in around. You're gonna have your intro. You're gonna have your blow ups, your key moments, your signature moments, and then your outro. And then I see that the same way in terms of like phrasing is knowing when to start a song and when to take out a song. So that I would say that kind of came easy to me. Beat matching still didn't come that easy to me at the time. I was still like a little bit tough learning how to beat match, learning how to tell when it's off or when it is getting off.
Training your ear.
Yeah, training the ear to catch it. But yeah, no, I don't think I really had the basics down like that. But after like 6 or like maybe like 7 or 8 months, that's when I released like my first mix. I would say around like 8 months, I was good enough to probably do my first mix for sure. But I still needed work. I still had a lot of work to do on my mixing skills, learning how to, the mixing tricks and stuff like that. But the first 6 months definitely weren't easy. It's like learning an entirely new skill. But I do like to think about it a little bit, like again, back to like dancing, just the creativity aspect though was there because it's all about creating those moments and finding the connections between those moments. So I would say maybe that was like something else that also came more or less easy as I came to learning more knowledge about the music and how mixing is done, as well as production.
Yeah, and those are probably the things that kept you interested in it. Maybe the ties that you were drawing to dancing, and like why you keep dancing as well is probably what kept you mixing too. So when did you start producing your own tracks? And I'll follow that up also with what is your sound? What do you typically go for?
I started producing, I would say over the summer, like last summer, like pretty recent. Like I would say, like I really started to learn how to produce, learn the program, learn music theory and all that. In terms of my sound, I would say that the sound that I'm trying to give off is almost very much the same vibe that I want to give off when I'm getting down, when I'm dancing, when that's very like being a very like. How do I describe it? Very.
I have the genre in mind, but I'm not sure. Well, what's the genre?
Well, the genre would be hard techno for sure. So, I would say my genre is definitely hard techno. In that range, just hard grooves with fat drums.
So you like probably the way that you with that. I would think that you would want to portray intensity and aggression and
but also with a little bit of like a hint of smooth in it.
Okay,
it
yeah,
can't be
finesse,
like
straight
like the finesse exactly.
Because it does
finesse with the hard hitting with the hard hitting, with the hits, with the bangers, with the hard grooves, adding the sauce. I would say
gritty, having it be like gritty, but it's eloquent at the same time.
Yes, structured.
Got it. Okay, no, very very cool. So like you try and introduce that in your production as well, and then structuring your sets as well. It's typically going to be a hard techno, techno set. Well, things like that. That's what you gravitate towards. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because before this interview, we were throwing down some hard techno.
Yeah,
it was pretty dope. The beat to beat to beat.
Yeah, the beat to beat, legendary.
Yeah, we should have recorded it. It's all good. Sure. Maybe we'll throw a mix at the end of this.
We'll definitely do it.
Or like in the show notes or something. No, very cool, man. I resonate with kind of your origins of DJing. Like I didn't feel like I really had a grip on it until like a year in, to be honest. So if there's any shufflers watching or just individuals watching who are embarking in that journey. It's going to take a minute. You know
gonna
what I
take a
mean? It's
minute,
going to
yeah.
take a minute to feel comfortable behind the decks and comfortable with the sound that you're producing. But it's okay. You know what I mean? There's no rush. It's supposed to be fun. You're just listening to your music and you're using different instruments that are afforded to you through your decks to make it yours. So, you know, that's all it really is. What are your goals for all this? Are you just trying to play a bunch of shows? Are you trying to get on labels? Or are you trying to just make a bunch of music? Like what where do
Man,
you
nah,
see this going?
I see this going as far as I could honestly take it, and as many avenues as I could take it. I would love to be traveling the world, just playing the music that I love for, you know, different people, and just keep connecting people through music the same way that I was able to connect with a lot of people through music. I want to be able to give that to other people all over the world, you know, and especially to the genre that I love, which is hard techno, you know, hard dance. And I just want to continue sharing that. And I definitely see myself going in that route. And that includes being on labels, includes playing festivals, even local shows, underground shows too. Like, you know, as much of the culture as I could be in as possible, I want to make sure I'm there.
Speaking of, you're throwing down here tomorrow
Yes.
at Steam Thursdays at
Steam
Bar
Thursdays.
Standard.
It's an all-star lineup too, guys.
Hell yeah. It's going to be you, followed by Frick. And Frick, this is going to be my first techno set that I've seen from Frick, which is going to be dope. And then Dee Dee and Emily Kim.
Inner DMs.
Yeah, Inner DMs. They're throwing
such a
down.
covered name.
Yeah, no, that's actually.
I saw that. I was like, that's so covered.
Honestly, that's a brilliant name.
It's
If
a
you really think
brilliant
about,
name,
if you really
no.
think about it, it's a
Yeah,
brilliant
it's a
name.
brilliant
I'll
name.
let you guys chew on that. But I haven't really seen a lot of techno from them either. But I know that they throw the fuck down. So I'm so pumped. I'm going to be in that room all night. A couple other homies are playing. My good friend Alessandro Voto will be playing. And shit, there's one more. I'm gonna link everything in the show notes. But if I didn't shout you out, just know I love you, okay? But Bambi's gonna be opening up. It's gonna be dope.
Opening up the techno room from 9 to 10:30, hour and a half set. It's gonna be something to see.
That'd be good
and to
shit.
hear.
And you're gonna record that,
Yes,
right?
I am definitely recording that set.
All right.
Yes.
We're gonna throw that in the show notes for sure. But awesome, man. This has been a lot of fun talking to you. But we're going to switch gears. We're going to move on to the Final Five. So this is the world famous Final Five. And I ask every guest these same 5 questions. So I just want to see, you know, how your responses line up. And maybe we can get to know you a little bit more because of them. So with that, the first question is... what is your favorite musical genre? I feel like I have a hunch.
Yeah. I would say my favorite musical genre is hard techno.
Got it. But in the beginning of the interview, you said you listen to metal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I used to be a big metalhead. I used to be into screamo, into Pierce the Veil. Pierce the Veil was one of my favorite bands. Avenged Sevenfold, also one of my all-time great bands. I was into that music for a little bit. I'm still into it. I still throw it on every now and then.
Yeah.
You know, even of Mice and Men. So always great to rock out to. Even classical rock as well. The Rolling Stones, always. You know, but
wide palette for music.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. But yeah, no, I kind of. It got to a point where like that wasn't so much like hitting for me. Like the same way I want to like give a certain style in my when I do my sets. Or even when my rounds, where it comes like, you know, like you said, gritty, but still like elegant.
Eloquent.
Eloquent.
However you say
Yeah,
that
you
word.
know, still the same way. Like that's kind of like that vibe I kind of gravitate towards. And like, you know, like with metal, it was just too much one way, you know. But that's why I had hip hop at that time, and I was listening to both genres because they were both kind of balancing themselves out. But I kind of, you know, the ear evolves, you know. At least, you know, for people that are like are really like into music like that, like and want to keep exploring, the ear eventually evolves, and we'd start to look for something new, something different, and that's when I got into I was getting more into house, especially when I was getting into like festivals. But then I would say my first true like electric dance music genre that I fell in love with was psytrance.
Okay.
That was like the first one. Like I don't know, something about it was.
Where did you hear that? Like, where did you hear it at a festival? And you're
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
shit,
no,
or-
it was I think it was Electric Zoo. Armin van Buren.
He was throwing down.
Yeah,
Okay.
he threw down his six that angle.
He'll throw that into his.
Yeah, he has a lot of psytrance. And then what really got me into psytrance was Vinny Vici and Timmy Trumpet. Seeing them play really also got me further into it. And then it went from psytrance to hardstyle. Like hardstyle and hardcore. And then around the same time I was getting exposed to techno, but I wasn't into like again, I was like scared at techno at first and stuff like that. And then when I got into techno after like, you know, hardstyle, like I started like kind of wanting to be more in the techno scene because that's where all the dances were.
Yeah.
You know, the shufflers or even like house too, but mostly like techno. It was just something about it.
We
you
love
know?
that shit.
It's just something about it. But yeah, and I started getting more into music and I got into techno through like drum code. Through like the very like 2018, 2019 drum code. One of my first drum code show was the Adam Bear Back to Bexer SD when they did it for the first time here in the States in New York. That was awesome. And then I got into a little bit harder techno, got into like more like dark techno. And I kind of stayed there for a little bit and switching between like, you know, kind of like a drum code kind of style of techno with a little bit of Afro tech and dark techno to then coming to really grow a love and a passion for like harder music, harder dance music, higher like on the BPM scale.
Yeah.
Still keeping it techno though. Still keeping it techno. But I just found my like kind of like my happy medium there. You know?
That's awesome, man.
Between that range and now, like that's why I would definitely say now my favorite genre is hard techno.
I'm venturing into hard techno. Like I've been spinning it. Like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, you threw down some songs there, bro.
Oh, thank you. I do like peak time. You know, peak like that.
That peak time driving type of thing.
Yeah, that 130 BPM. Like
Yeah.
and you can hear the kick. Kind of
That's
like
where I started
echo
DJing
out.
from.
Yeah.
Originally, like my style before, even if you check out like my old mixes, that's what I had a lot of. Was more of that like 130, 133 up to like maybe like a 138 kind of style of tech.
Really fun to dance.
Yeah.
to.
Super
Like,
groovy,
yeah.
super funky.
You got time to
percussion.
think.
Yeah. No, most definitely.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
But I do like even when I do my hard techno sets, I still try to incorporate a little bit of that in it as well. You know, because I did those are more of like some of the roots I come with because I also feel very connected to that type of music because of like my Latin background.
Yeah.
And in like the music that we listen to and like in like salsa, merengue, bachata, there's a lot of very similar rhythms and patterns, you know, that are happening. So I still feel very connected to that music and try to incorporate it as much into my sets as possible.
Yeah, I think we both have an affinity for those two genres. I just need to figure out how to mix them well into a set with each other and kind of give that wow factor when the higher BPMs, you know, start to come on. Maybe you can help me with that.
I definitely got you. Definitely got you.
Dope. Next question. So, what is your favorite place to dance?
Anywhere where there's good music, honestly.
Done.
Whether that's in the kitchen with my grandma or, you know, at the park practicing with some homies, in a battle, in a club, in a festival, anywhere where there's good music. Even right now, like there was good music, I would love to dance. You know what I'm saying? Like just anywhere where there's good music and good vibes. That's it. I wouldn't really say like I have ever had like a favorite place to dance. You know,
there's nothing that, you know, is like that's your like mecca for dancing or anything.
I would say if we really like have to like give a place,
like a location, coordinates.
Oh man, it would have to be this club that doesn't exist anymore. It used to be in New York. It was like one of the top dancer clubs to go to. It was called Cielo. Okay. They used to run a lot of parties there. They had Funk Box there, which was a house party every Sunday night. They had Toca Tuesdays, which was hip hop, and they had a bunch of other events. But that was like one of the dopest places to go to because everybody there was a dancer. Everybody there got down in some sort of way. Where it was breaking, popping, locking, house, whatever it was. It was one of those spots that a lot of people would go to. There are other spots, but for some reason that spot was always one I found myself back at, you know.
Okay.
So I would say maybe like that was probably like my favorite place ever to dance at, because every time I would go there, I would see people I knew from the scene, and you know, we'd all get down. So it was cool.
Yeah, probably different sources of
Yeah,
inspiration,
yeah,
and
various.
how to move your body, different
Yeah,
crafts, people,
yeah.
you know, subject matter experts in each.
Yes. No.
That's
no,
awesome,
no,
man.
definitely.
Next question. What is your favorite set, show, or festival you've attended?
Wow. Well, favorite festival, definitely Movement. That's hands down. Hands down, definitely Movement.
Which year?
Last year. Last
Okay,
year, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
That was my first year, and I fell in love with it. This is where I'm going again this year.
Same.
It's a really great festival in terms of music and vibes, and I've been to a lot of festivals. That one is just, that's the one, honestly. Favorite events?
Yeah, set, show, festival, and that's an and or question.
Yeah.
You know, if you're cool with just movement, that's fine. But yeah, if there's any other noteworthy mentionables.
Recently had a really good show. I went to see Pam Pot like a couple weekends ago at Knockdown Center. Honestly, that was a phenomenal show. They played a phenomenal set. It was really good. That's one that was pretty noteworthy. I saw IO's I believe it was his very last set, right before COVID. Like, COVID happened on Monday, like where the quarantine happened on Monday. I saw him that Friday before. And he played a show at Avon Gardner in New York. And I think that was his last show he ever played. I think. R.I.P. Yeah. So that's also a very noteworthy show. And yeah, I would honestly say that's about it. Firefly is another great festival. It's an all music festival. It's not strictly EDM. But
Where is that's in?
That's in Delaware. It's in Delaware. Yeah, it's
I've heard about that.
it's like almost like a 4 to 5 day camping festival. That was actually my first, like, one of my first festivals, like, officially going to as well, that had like sparked up the interest in wanting to get into the scene as well. But definitely a great festival. I say check it out. It's super friendly people, very mature crowd, and if
Is
you're
it
into
EDM or is it?
no,
like
it's all genres.
alternative?
So it's almost like a Coachella.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's almost like Coachella. They got rappers, they got DJs. They
Yeah.
had like, I saw Kendrick, Eminem, Party Next Door, Martin Garrix, a couple other mentions, Hippie Sabotage, MGMT, Foster the People.
They got a little.
They
they have
have
something
like
for everyone.
everything. Yeah. It's a
Okay.
great. No. It's a great festival. I definitely think like it's not so much on that mainstream side too.
Yeah.
Of like those types of festival, and it's camping. So you can't beat that.
Yeah, I was living in South Jersey for how long and didn't even
Yeah,
I didn't even know what was down there.
No,
so
it's fire.
yeah,
it's good. It's a good
maybe
festival.
when I'm visiting,
Yeah,
check it out.
I would say that's about it.
Got it. Cool, man. Next question: what is your favorite book?
I don't really like to read much.
Yeah, that's all right. A lot of shufflers don't. Me included in that. Like I've fallen off.
Yeah, no, I don't really like to read much. I mean, I do read here and there. Nothing that I would really say is crazy, like noteworthy yet for me to mention, but I would say, could I give like a favorite movie?
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies that was very like inspirational to me would have to be Into the Wild.
Okay.
It's a story about this guy. It's based on a true story. The story was published by the guy's sister. It's about this guy. I forgot his real name, but he went by Alex Supertramp, and he was some guy that had like graduated college and was supposed to go to law school at like Harvard or something, and that was more or less what his parents wanted him to do. But him, right after he graduated, college, super smart guy too, smart guy. He kind of wanted to release himself of everything and be naturally free and like truly be in the wild. And the story's about him traveling across the U.S., going down south, going down into Mexico, coming back up, and then going all the way up north into Alaska. And the story's about like the journey about him and all the people he's came around and contact, and like he's keeping a journal of everything. And the guy makes it to Alaska, And throughout this whole entire journey, like the journey was also because the guy was trying to find more or less like what the meaning of life is, what like it means to be alive, human, and stuff like that. And he had thought the meaning of that is total and utter freedom in the wild, you know, because of like what he has read and what he has learned. But I think like his interpretation of it ended up being a little bit of his downfall, because he ends up making it only to come to find out what he had realized what the meaning of life was, and only to not be able to make it back out of Alaska. He ended up dying there. I don't want to ruin the movie for everyone, but you know,
I'm captivated. Don't ruin it for me. I'm gonna go watch it.
No, but yeah, it was a very moving story because it has a lot of life lessons in it, a lot of inspirational quotes in it, you know, and there's a lot of messages that could be taken from it. So that's why I definitely say it's one of them. I'd like to add another movie, The Lost Boys. Just all-time favorite, true vampire movie. If anybody's into vampire movies, The Lost Boys is at the top.
Got it. Into the Wild. No, that seems interesting, because
Yes.
I think a lot of, you know, maybe when people go on their shuffle journeys, they feel like it's like the path least traveled. It goes a little bit against the grain. You know what I mean? 'Cause
No.
I think the EDM scene can be very much seen like that. If we have,
I think honestly, any almost artistic path or culture is a little bit against the grain, because art is
can be
art.
misunderstood.
No, yeah, because art is always supposed to. Art is art because it goes against like the time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's I definitely.
I think there's a lot of parents of shufflers that are like, why?
Yeah,
Why?
exactly.
Like, why are
Why?
you doing the things that you're doing?
No, for sure.
Shout out mom and dad, I love you.
Yo, for real, man.
But
Actually, I try to teach my mom how to Miami step, because my mom dances and stuff. She thinks it's cool. She thought it was cool, but like, nah, I definitely see how like other parents could definitely.
but like
be
seeing
looking at it.
the festival footage.
Yo,
and stuff
no,
like
yeah.
that,
At
like,
first, though,
what are you
no.
doing? Yeah.
At first, my mom was like, oh, "Why are you going out to these things? Oh, what are you wearing?" Like,
Yeah.
oh
You
man,
being safe?
It was, yeah. No, all that, the whole nine. But then, like, you know, I brought my mom out to like one of my first official shows that I was playing. I showed her a little bit of the community. I showed my family a little bit of the community. So they're definitely more comfortable with it in that sense. I ain't gonna say like I showed them everything, but
It was censored. Filters here and there.
yes, for sure. But yeah.
Yeah. No, so I think no, that's cool. I want to look into that movie, because I do think
Into
there's,
the Wild.
Yeah, there's probably
No,
some.
It's good. It's good. The guy, he tears up his social security card, cuts up his ID, everything. Like burns his passport. And just when you thought like, all right, the guy's done, he's gonna go back home. He's coming back to like that sense of reality.
Yeah.
Nah. He keeps going, and that's when he goes and he makes it out to Alaska. He learns how to hunt, how to grow crops, how to like a bunch of stuff. But again, like it all ended up also acting as part way to his downfall.
Yeah.
In it.
So lessons for both sides.
No,
you know?
for sure. No,
Maybe
hands
you've
down,
gone
hands
too
down.
far at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
whatever
No,
else.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like, and I guess one of the biggest messages that you could take away from that movie is definitely like, you don't know what you have until you lose it. You know, you don't know how good things you have right now, because things could always be worse.
Gratitude is always something that ought to be in the back of our heads. You know?
Always.
I think we're better for it when we keep that very much in the
It keeps us
forefront.
going. It keeps us
Yeah.
humble, and it keeps us being able to progress and evolve.
Great. No, that's a really good movie recommendation. I'll definitely throw those in the show notes. For the last question, and I know I think you might have given some thought to this, because I always, I emphasize this question. But yeah, so for this one, if you could put any message on the main stage production of a large festival, EDC Las Vegas, maybe Tomorrowland, there's going to be tens of thousands of people seeing this message, what would it say?
Well, that message, it would actually be a quote from the movie Into the Wild, and it was one of the quotes in the movies that stuck with me tremendously, and that is that true happiness can only be experienced when you're experiencing new experiences with the people that you love. And I think that's a very big message.
Dude, I got chills. You see that? You got goosebumps? It's the last part
when
that you
I
say.
heard that, no, because it's very much true. And like again, I don't want to kind of spoil the movie, but at the end, the guy's all alone and he's about to die, and he's like, "Damn, like like this was like the true meaning of it," and that's why. And then that all that stuff happens. But yeah, I think that's very much a big thing. I think that covers a lot because like you always gotta be searching. Like I feel like the human soul always is like it yearns for new experiences to create moments, and I feel like that's what it's all about, is creating these moments and creating these memories, because like that's the only thing we get to take with us once we're gone.
Yeah, or when our bodies have started to like fail us or whatever,
It's the memories that like we take with on, and it's the memories that stays. It's those moments that keep inspiring ourselves and others. And then I also very much believe in the ending, that like you can't just be having all these experiences on your own. There comes to a certain point that yes, I very much believe humans need humans. People need other people, and especially people that you love. When you're experiencing those moments, it fills up everything. That's not to say that you can't be happy alone, but I also feel that humans, we're not meant to be alone. Not in the sense that like how people may think we're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? But there comes to a certain extent that yes, like people need other people, and we need our loved ones, and we need, like, whether it be a sibling or a friend or a companion, an animal. We need to be able to experience something with a person or a living creature, another living soul. To share those moments with, because what good are those moments if it's just for yourself, which to an extent, yes, could be very fulfilling.
You can have those.
No,
you
could definitely have those, but it makes it that much more special when you're experiencing that.
Experience.
Exactly.
Like
it's like going to a festival. Don't get me wrong, I'll go to a festival with Dolo, but I very much rather go with my boys.
The homie lineup.
Exactly.
Let's get the homie lineup straight.
You feel me?
We are totally social creatures. We're communal creatures, and I think I like what this show has done in a very short time that it's done it. And this isn't just to like pat myself on the back, because
kudos to that.
Thank you. But it just, if none of these aired and none of these were exposed to anyone, I would have had a bunch of conversations and I would have become closer to a bunch of people. You know what I mean? Even if these lights weren't on and this audio wasn't recording, those cameras weren't rolling, like we still would have bonded over this conversation.
Most definitely.
And I absolutely love that, and I love sharing those experiences with everyone else, whether it be at a festival, whether it be an intimate conversation, whether it be just like homies up on the decks and I'm grooving and we're having like they see me, I see them. This is all about the people. You know what I mean? It's all about the people at the end of the day. And yes, you can have very defining moments with yourself. There's been, many times I've gone out to nature with myself and I've had revelations and whatnot, but doing these things with friends, good friends, is just something else. You create those memories that you always think about. I probably won't think about whatever revelation that I had in the woods by myself, but like when I'm gripping up my buddy and we're having a moment at a show,
you're gonna think about that.
I'm gonna think about it and I'm gonna love him to death. You know what I mean? Love her or him to death, because of the accumulation of those moments that I've had with them. So I really love that quote, man. Thank you.
It's an amazing quote. Like, it stuck with me since I saw that movie, and I saw that movie like 2016, 2017, and that was one of the movies that really, like, for some reason, heavily inspired me to continue on the path that I am on, which is, has to deal with my crafts and my arts, and knowing what I was doing, it was more or less right in a way. There was a strange connection there, but it was a very inspirational movie, and that quote specifically, for some reason, inspired me tremendously. And that's why I like to tend to get like closer with people as well, especially like people I meet, new friends, old friends, all that.
Absolutely, man. We're very similar in that vein. Dude, this has been amazing. I've really enjoyed this. dude, we're almost at like 2 hours.
Oh,
It's just flowing by. We could be here for another 2 hours.
For sure. I do just want to give one more shout out. I want to give shout out to all my South Florida homies holding it down. I want to give a shout out to all my New York homies, all my nameless homies. You know who you are. All the people in New York, all the close homies. Shout out to Kitty Pack. Shout out to all my Mile High Shuffler fam. Shout out to all the people in the community, hold it down, especially some of my Texas and Cali homies. Yo, I see you. Keep rocking.
With that, is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we get out of here? This conversation, definitely resonated with a lot of people. But is there anything else that you'd like to add to accent our conversation?
Be true to you. Be true to your style. Be true to the people that love you, and just spread love and kindness all around. And we're here to push each other and keep growing and keep evolving. Let's keep the movement going.
Excellent. I'm right there with you, brother. Lockstep. For people who want to reach out to you after the interview, maybe, they really enjoyed, this conversation and want to know more about you and just connect with you further, what's the best way that they can do that?
You could reach me on my Instagram. I answer pretty much all my messages. You could DM me, and my Instagram is @bambi.us.
And Bambi's your DJ name, right?
Yes, yeah. Bambi is my DJ name. It's also my nickname. I've kind of gotten the name Bambi at a young age. I got it when I was around 13, 14 years old. Mm-hmm. Kind of around the same time that I started breaking. And it was because I fractured both of my ankles at the same time. Because I used to be big on gymnastics before I was big on dancing.
Got it.
And my dancing mentor, my breaking mentor, gave me that nickname. Kind of a way to cheer me up, but it's also kind of a form of prophesizing that at the beginning of the Bambi movie, Bambi is alone and he's defenseless deer, and he can't fend for himself, and then along the way he meets his friends and he has his people. But then by the end of the movie, Bambi grows up and he fights the other deer and becomes the king of the forest. So it was kind of that kind of way of giving me that confidence and that courage. At first I didn't like the name. I didn't like the name at all. I
can see how you could have some turmoil with it.
But he started calling me it, then my crew started calling me it, then the dance community started calling me it, and then once my family started calling me it, I was over. I knew Bambi was my name, and that's the name I stuck with, and now I own it. Yeah. I love it. Honestly, I'm grateful for it.
Dude, it's got a ring to it too, and you put those triangles in it now. That's dope.
Triangles up all day.
I don't know if you've seen my DJ name, but I've got some triangles.
Oh, you got triangles? It's actually crazy. The triangle in Bambi is actually to represent my fraternity. I'm part of Tau Kappa Epsilon, and our shape is the triangle.
Got it.
Yeah, that's why I incorporated.
Oh man, yeah, all these communities just nested
all these little things.
Dude.
Yeah, man, that all goes a long way.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Well, we're going to wrap up. It's been amazing, dude. Like I said.
It's been great. Pleasure, man. Pleasure.
Yeah. It's been absolutely great. And, but I know we have a full weekend ahead of us. We got some fun ahead of us. So let's not delay any further. Let's sign off here. But brother, thank you so much for being on. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this, and pumped for the next conversation, next visit, and I'm pumped for your show, dude. Let's get it.
I'm pumped too, man. I'm pumped for this weekend, just hanging out, man. For real. But, yo, thank you again. It was an honor and it was a pleasure. I'm truly grateful.
Thank you for listening to the Shuffle Curious podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. We are past the launch, and I'm so appreciative of the support that the show has received. You guys have really stepped up in a huge way, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I know this is a big ask due to the show just starting, and it's very much in its infancy, but any and all support would really be amazing from you guys. So I just wanted to come on and list a couple ways that you guys can help out the podcast moving forward. So first and foremost, subscribing to the YouTube channel would be a huge help. Among, also sharing and following the show on other social media platforms, such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but in particular, YouTube will really help increase the visibility of the show, and it can help to reach a wider audience as well. In addition to this, leaving a review on anywhere where podcasts are distributed, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, can really leave a positive impression on new listeners, and it will help them discover the podcast more readily. Also, engaging with the podcast, so leaving comments, participating in social media discussions, and just anything that would really help build a community around the podcast would be of great assistance. And please feel free, DM me my personal Instagram at Patty Creates, or the show's Instagram at the Shuffle Curious Podcast, with the spaces being underscores. I would love to hear any feedback, any ideas, any discourse around the show. It would be an honor to hear you guys out and implement some of the ideas and the feedback that you guys have for me. Also, donating to the podcast directly or purchasing a Shuffle Curious shirt would help out a lot. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of energy, and unfortunately money that goes into the podcast, and it will continue to go into the podcast. So let's just get one thing straight here. It's really been a complete joy doing the show, and no matter how much or how little monetary assistance the show receives, we'll still be performing the mission of bringing the Shuffle community together. But with a little bit of help, I'll be able to travel more for these interviews, buy better equipment, be able to compensate all the amazing people who have made the show a reality and have volunteered their time, things of that nature. So buying a shirt would be much more than buying a shirt. And I don't know if you guys realize, but if I ever saw someone at a festival wearing a Shuffle Curious podcast shirt, you would be my best friend in a huge way. I'd love to see it, and I'd give you a big bear hug. So you can purchase these shirts on the Instagram bio of the show, also the show's website, and then I'll have links in the show notes as well. As for the donation, just please, send me a DM if you feel inclined to donate to the show. I will definitely entertain that, and if you're so inclined, that would be absolutely amazing. I'm not going to create a button for donating to the show or GoFundMe or anything like that. It would just be a conversation between you and I. So, and I thank you for that consideration. But lastly, you guys have supported the show just by listening, also listening to this whole outro. That's awesome. You guys rule for doing that. And I just cannot understate my appreciation for all of you guys for being a part of this crazy ride that it's been so far. So without further ado, I wanted to get on. I'll give you guys a couple of ways that you can support. You can run with as many or as little of them as you would like. But I thank you, regardless for your listenership and support. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Please get out there and dance, stay curious, and I will see you in the next episode, friend.